Hi, welcome to another Table Talk. I'm Israel Anderson. And today we start getting into some of the really rich content of this incredible story where we see Jesus talking about Yahweh's treatment of the Hebrews during the Exodus. I got to say thank you so much. I've been receiving some financial support. People are joining the Founders Club. You can see the information in the ticker down there. My video content is never going to go viral. I'm never going to be able to make money on YouTube. I really rely on people that understand the value of what I'm doing to support me. So we're trying to get this to minimum wage. It's not very much. But if you would consider, you see the content and I'm working hard to get this out every day. If you can support me, thank you so very much. Let's get into it. So we have looked at the Exodus story. And if you have just come in here, then you need to go back and look at the preceding talks that we did. Here we're going to begin Matthew 7 through 12. And we're going to read this, and then we're going to get into some commentary on what is Jesus saying here. This is the passage that really opened my eyes, that made me look here. Now, I've told this story. We found this many, many years ago, 5-6 years ago. It was one of the very first passages I came across when I was really starting to see what was going on here in the text. This specific passage here, is there anyone among you who, if his son asks for bread, will give him a stone, or if he asks for fish, will give him a snake? If you know the Exodus story, that should probably be raising some red flags. Like, wait a minute, what's he talking about here? But there's many others that I like to talk about and kind of lead with. John 8:44 is the clearest description of the devil we have in the Bible from Jesus. He's very blatant, and it's obviously Yahweh. We have John 10:8 through 10, where it talks about all who came before me were thieves and robbers, and the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, which is what we see Yahweh doing all the time. It's his MO, his modus operandi. That's just who he is. Then we have this absolutely stunning connection in Revelation 13, verse 2, where it talks about the beast that will have the whole world worshiping it. And the description that is given here is a wild beast like a lion, a leopard, and a bear. And Jesus is taking this description directly from Hosea 13, verses 7 and 8, where we see this individual who demands worship or die describe himself like a wild beast, like a lion, a leopard, and a bear. And that person in Hosea 13, of course, as you can see from Hosea 13, verse 4, is Yahweh. He boasts about himself. And then we see Jesus in Revelation basically quoting Yahweh. Now, that's amazing. And so this passage kind of got sidelined a little bit. And it was now maybe 3.5 months ago. I don't know what words you want to use to describe it, but it was an intuition. It was the Spirit of the Father telling me, go and look at this again. There's more there you haven't seen yet. Okay, let's do that. And I did that. And in these last 3.5 months, there has been just a cascade of new information unpacking itself in the text. Thanks to the Father, We'll come back to this at the end and talk about it a little bit. There's something very odd going on here. If you were to search around, I can't find anybody that goes through this story that has seen all of these connections before. Now, that's peculiar. That doesn't make a lot of sense. How can an individual find something brand new in the Bible that people haven't seen before, that people have read over and over, but didn't recognize exactly what they were reading. Now, I got to tell you, that's humbling, and I don't even have words for it. I just left an audio message for our friends in our private Telegram group. I was saying, like, it's not excitement. That's not the right word. There's something going on when you find something. And of course, my critics, they want to say, oh, you think you've found something after 2,000 years of church history and Bible study, do you? Well, you tell me. Because as we put this larger study together, which these table talks are just where we kind of look at all the pieces as I build it all out, and we will release a proper study called Two Snakes in a Desert that lays all of this out. And it can't be just one video because it's probably going to be about 5 hours long, but we'll do probably 5 1-hour sessions as we go through all of this material. There's an awful lot to go through here. And there's a lot of people out there that want me to debate this person, debate that person, debate me. Take a look at this, and what's your response? Are you going to debunk this? Good luck. I don't think you're going to. And I think what we look at right now is going to kind of firm that up. And people are going to see from this video, oh, there's something here. And you can't just dismiss this out of hand. My critics say I don't know how to interpret the Bible, or I don't know the Bible, or all these pejoratives, but, well, you can just decide that for yourself. All right, let's get stuck into it. So let's read this passage first, and then we'll look at some notes. I'm a little emotional, I guess, because this is strange. It really is strange. So we're reading from Matthew, okay? Matthew chapter 7, verses 7 through 12. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened for you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds. I didn't even realize that till just now. Yeah. Everyone who seeks, the one who seeks finds. And to the one who knocks, the door will be opened. Is there anyone among you who, if his son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a snake? If you then, although you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him? In everything, treat others as you would want them to treat you, for this fulfills the law and the prophets. And, I'm not putting it in here, but I'll just mention something, right? Take a look at this. I haven't broken this down yet. I've just kind of thought about this a few times as I've come across and read it. In everything, treat others as you would want them to treat you, for this fulfills the law and the prophets. Now, what's interesting here is Jesus is the one that is treating others as people would want to be treated, with kindness, respect, and mercy, grace. For this fulfills the law and the prophets. Is it really talking about Jesus fulfilling the law and the prophets? Of course it is. We will need to add this now that I'm reminded of it. I'm just going to put an asterisk here so I see this later. This is what I mean. It's like so, whoops, what's going on? So new. It's a strange thing. It's a strange thing. It's a strange thing. Ask and it will be given to you. The Hebrews asked for real food and were denied. The Father will not deny us. See if I can fit this all on the screen. I've said so many times, my trackpad doesn't work very well in Colorado because it's so dry. I'm moving, but nothing is happening. Look at this. It's a bit frustrating sometimes. All right. Ask and it will be given to you. So this is the total opposite of what happened during the Exodus. They asked, they were denied. We remember when they asked for food and Yahweh then sends so much food, all of these birds, quail, that people, the whole camp was covered in quail like over a meter high. It all rotted and they all got sick, and even when they ate it, Yahweh poisoned them. It's unbelievable. The Hebrews asked for real food and were denied. The Father will not deny us, nor his Son. For everyone who asks receives. There are some Christians and Jews that blame the non-Jews that left Egypt with the Hebrews for all the trouble. Okay, let me read from Numbers 11 through 5. Now the mixed multitude, because the mixed multitude is talking about people that came with them. They weren't Jews, but there were Egyptians and others that decided they would join their friends on this journey. Now the mixed multitude who were among them craved more desirable foods, and so the Israelites wept again and said, if only we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we used to eat freely in Egypt. I don't know what it is with this whole fish thing. I've had so many people just call me a liar for suggesting that there's any mention of them crying out for fish during the Exodus. Numbers 11, verse 5. It's right there. And the word really is fish. Should we, let's see here. Let's just bring out my Bible software. We go to Numbers 11. I'll just bring this over here. And you can see here, we remember the fish. And if I just click on here, you'll see this word dagar in Hebrew. And what does it mean? Fish. And that's all it means. Fish. Okay? This other word for meat is a completely different word. Okay? They asked for meat. Specifically, they asked for fish. And it's confusing to me why so many people have literally called me a liar for suggesting that they ever cried out for fish. I don't know what's going on there. It's kind of a strange thing, actually. So Jesus directly addresses this idea that the problem was with the mixed multitude, right? People that weren't Jews, because Jesus says that everyone who asks receives. Everyone. Doesn't matter who you are. Everyone who asks receives. Whosoever believes in him shall be saved. Okay? Everyone who asks receives, not just the Hebrews. Maybe if their caretaker had taken care of them, no one would be complaining about dying of starvation and dehydration. Let's move on. Is there anyone among you who, if his son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a snake? There are so many connections here to the Exodus, but this is the most obvious one of all, and the one that led to discovering all the others. Jesus asks the Hebrew men listening to him, if their son asked for fish, would they give their child a snake instead? Of course not. Yet this is precisely what happened during the Exodus. The connection here is so stunningly obvious, one has to ask, how for so long has this gone unnoticed? Go and try to find anyone else in the history of the church that has noticed this and is talking about it. This is why it weirds me out a little bit. What would you be feeling if you had found not just here, but also over in Luke and even in the Lord's Prayer? There's so many places. Jesus is constantly reassuring the Hebrews that he and his Father will not treat you like Yahweh treated you. He's basically telling them, the false promises, don't worry about that. You get the real thing with us. We'll take care of you. The Hebrews asked for bread, and Yahweh marches them into the desert to die instead. They asked for bread. Yahweh gives them stones. Stones in the desert. This connects back to the temptation in the wilderness. It's all this stuff going on here. It gets even more plain when we remember that when Jesus was teaching to massive crowds in the wilderness, and the disciples suggest that he send them away so they could find food, he doesn't abandon them. I will never leave you nor forsake you. He feeds them himself. And what does he feed them? Bread and fish. I mean, you can't get over this. Like, hello. Like, I'm sure you, just watching these videos, are thinking, I mean, somebody must have talked about all this. You can't, because there's so much here, right? I mean, how much am I showing you? There's tons and tons and tons and tons. We're like a third of the way through. I've got a tab down here. Where are we? This is kind of getting big. Comparisons. Oh, you have no idea what's behind this tab. There are so many connections. How has everybody missed this? Like, I honestly and genuinely do not understand. I don't. I really don't. I'm not trying to be falsely humble. I don't understand it. It's very strange. So Yeshua, Jesus, feeds them bread and fish, the very things the Hebrews cried out for. This is not a coincidence. This is not a coincidence. Temptation in the wilderness. Satan tempts Jesus after how long? 40 days? Notice that in the temptation in the wilderness, Yahweh doesn't turn stones into bread. That would have been the real temptation. Yahweh says to Yeshua, here's stones. Turn them into bread. Why didn't he turn them into bread? That would have been a temptation on a far greater level. Right? Far greater level. Fresh bread right in front of you. Reach out and eat it. No. Challenges Jesus to do it instead. Do you know what Jesus does later to the crowds? He manifests bread. I mean, like, the more I look at this, the more you start to realize, like, there's like, we are scratching the tip of an iceberg. I mean, like, there's stuff that I've had in my mind for years. I just, there's so much going on in life, but you have an idea and you're like, that thing that happened, that passage, that event, there's something going on there and I need to go and spend time on it, but there's so much. There's no end to studying the text. There's so much. Let's keep going. How much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him? Jesus compares and contrasts Yahweh to his Father. Christianity says they are the same person, Israel. You're so ignorant. Don't you know anything? well, I just follow Jesus and what he says. And he says Yahweh is not his father, and he describes an individual that is nothing. We cannot find this individual. I've never thought of putting it this way before. When we look at how Jesus describes his father in the Gospels, we don't find any parallel to that in the Old Testament. What's going on? There's no one like that in the Old Testament. So Jesus compares and contrasts Yahweh to his father, and this is not an outlier. Jesus is constantly telling the Hebrews that he and his father will not treat them like Yahweh treated them. Over and over again. For this fulfills the law and the prophets. For this is just the icing on the cake. Just for all those that might doubt that Jesus was talking specifically about Yahweh and the Exodus, he connects everything he just said with Yahweh's law that was given during the Exodus. And that's the end of the argument. I mean, I'm sorry. How do you come back from this? There's so many people out there that are saying just the most horrible things about me. And you start to look at all this and you realize, like, if you think there's nothing here, this is a tiny portion. This is a tiny portion of what we have to go through. And this is just one little story out of the whole Bible. Maybe you're a pastor, or maybe you're just a Christian layman, and you're looking at this and you're scratching your head going, this is kind of compelling. Like, what's going on here? Go and share it with everybody. You don't have to say you accept any of this, okay? You can play the skeptic. You say, I don't know how to respond to this heretic on the internet. I don't care what you say about me, right? But get your pastor, get your Bible teacher at your church to debunk this. What are you going to say to this? Are you just going to say, oh, you think you found something after 2000, blah, 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 blah. That's all I get is insults. But nobody wants to talk about the text. Am I wrong? If I'm wrong, come and show me convincingly. Speak slowly and plainly, as Tucker Carlson would say, and show me. Where am I wrong? What am I getting wrong? I'm taking the Bible out of context? Well, watch the video I released the other day on ascertaining context from the Bible and tell me where in this guide that I've made available to people for over 5 years, tell me what's wrong in that. What am I doing wrong? What am I not doing to ascertain the correct context from the text? You tell me. You think I'm wrong? Prove it. Please. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to dishonor my Lord. If you think I'm wrong and making a mistake here in all this, okay. Come and show me, please. I would love to see it, to hear it. I'd love to be corrected. I'd love for you to come along and say, you're forgetting that you're not considering this, and, there's a context here you aren't aware of, and okay, come show me. I'm open. Okay? And I have much more to show you about the Bible that Christianity just has wrong. You should go watch all my other study videos. Watch Two Gardens and a Snake. We're about to update that. We'll update that probably in the second half of this year. And that will grow to about 3 times the size. We'll respond to everybody's objections there and all kinds of things. Who is Yahweh? Who is Yahweh is going to expand to be a whole series. There's 20 hours of teaching on who is Yahweh. we're trying to put everything together in a package, you know. So again, I appreciate you all for your financial support. People this last week have really stepped up. I really appreciate that. I just want to get the minimum wage. Then I know, okay, you're at minimum wage. Now, minimum wage is like $2,300 a month. All right. If we can get to that, because I can't rely on monetization or anything like that, I get about $50 per month from the YouTube channel. These videos are never going to be so popular that I'm going to make any real money from YouTube. And of course, they can just turn it all off whenever they want, as they do to so many people. And that's no way to live. You can't allow these people to, you know, put a noose around your neck. You can't do that. You have to have independence from all of these ways that people, you know, are making money through YouTube and everything else. So it's up to you. If you would please support me, please do. And I do apologize, because as I'm saying this, I realized a couple of things. My ticker is not lined up, is it? Let's move that up a little bit. There we go. But I know there's a couple of names here that are missing, but you'll be on the next one, I promise. So thank you very, very, very much. Okay. I know I had a couple of people today start up with the Founders Club. Thank you so much. That's it for today. Really appreciate you watching and sharing and leaving great encouraging comments, because boy, the criticism I get still, well, it's kind of getting to be about even now, but it's been outweighing the positive comments for a long, long time. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. I will see you probably tomorrow. Try to do one of these every day from now on, but sometimes life gets in the way, you understand. So thank you very much for watching. You have an awesome rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.